Hello and a warm welcome to episode 7 of Third Half Podcast, a podcast where we talk all things sport.fun, covering both football and American football. I'm Palmer and today I'm joined with my co-host Samooves. And today I'm wearing a Green Bay Packers hat for two reasons. One reason is that I'm kind of, overdue a haircut going to the barbers tonight. But secondly is a little bit of a wind-up for our guest today, Dan. Dan's a big Chicago Bears fan. Packers play the Bears this weekend, so I'm sure it's going to get a little bit feisty. Dan, how are you doing, mate? Thank you for joining us on this episode.
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure to have you. So I mean, this week's kind of been a bit of a crazy one for sport.fun. We've got kind of the token launch in. NFL's heating up. We're getting nearer the playoffs. Football's kind of going into the winter break. A lot of players are stepping away for AFCON, so the market's moving crazy. Sam and I were kind of talking a little bit before hitting record that we're watching our ports kind of go up and up and up, and trades are happening pretty wild, pretty hot and fast. So my week's been pretty flat out on sport.fun. Sam, how are you kind of getting on this week?
No, quite good. I rebalanced my port a bit. I sold a bunch of the players that I had 10,000 shares in, specifically the only Bayern players I have. And then I moved them into Kane and Olise to increase the exposure a bit. So it's more balanced now. I went from 100 shares for those two guys to now 3,000, and I cut down on the cheaper ones. So it's a bit more balanced. NFL, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just getting the TP, promoting the players, and then, like I always mention, I invest in the lowest player in my portfolio, since he's probably cheap for a reason, and then I just boost him up and then boost the next one. So NFL, don't ask me anything. I'm just going day by day.
It sounds good. Dan, how's your week been in the sport.fun world?
Yeah, okay. I was buying up Palmer pretty much as soon as he was injured. So for the past month or something, I've been basically every so often just been rebalancing, and then I think he was up about 150% on the week or something like that. So whether or not I'm up or not, I don't really know. And realistically, I don't really care at this moment either. But that's kind of how I done. So I do a lot better TP wise in NFL. So we can obviously talk about that in a bit, where my portfolio sort of sits. But yeah, I hit a crazy one about 2 game weeks ago, like way higher than I'd ever had. So that's interesting and good.
No, nice. I've got pretty sucked out with my my packs this week. I had an $88 legendary pack in NFL, so I'm still bitter about that. But I mean, I had a stream with Sam before where I was basically complaining about legendary packs, and my average in FDF was like $120, $130, and I got bent over in that one. And my great run of form with packs is kind of followed over, but sort of stepping away from the kind of actual game side, I want to talk about Packers and the Bears. So 2 weeks ago, Packers beat the Bears, I'd say convincingly, not really. And we come over to Soldier. No, but my biased opinion will say otherwise. And the Packers come over to Soldier Field in what's now going to be a very, very different game. Obviously, Green Bay last week got a lot of injuries. Luckily, Christian Watson's not going to be out long term, but Micah Parsons kind of set himself September next year return, which is such a shame. We've got a few other little injuries elsewhere. So defensively, we're not as solid, and Jordan Love loses his wide receiver one for a little while. So we're not going to be as strong coming over to Chicago Bears, but obviously the Bears now need, I think, they need to win 2 out of the next 3. They're playing the Packers, the 49ers, and the Lions. Kind of as a Bears fan, how confident do you feel?
So as a Bears fan, who's been a Bears fan since the mid 80s, and has had like 30 years of hurt, this has been amazing. So realistically, like, all jokes aside, this is everything which the Bears wanted. We wanted to know, is Caleb the right guy? Yes, he's a good quarterback. Is the hire of the coach the right guy? Yeah, absolutely, he's good. And I'm a Liverpool fan as well, so I see the hire of Ben Johnson as a Jurgen Klopp sort of culture changing, how he changed everything at Liverpool, all the coaches, everything and that's kind of come on. It's in a really hard division and everything. Whatever the Bears, it's going to be hard to get 2 wins out of the next 3. There's no doubt. It's by far the hardest schedule of all the remaining teams, but everyone else is playing each other as well.
Mm.
The Packers are not as good after 2 weeks ago. We're obviously down. It's not just Micah Parsons and Watson, who seems to kill the Bears all the time. So actually, him not being there is brilliant. If I'm honest, because and there's I love NFL for a lot of reasons, and the market, Micah Parsons is a great sort of way to think about it. He's like a top 5 player in the world, probably top 2 defensive players in the world as well. And he's just a multiplayer. He just makes everyone else much better because everyone has to account for him, and he just F's everything up basically for everyone else and for the team he's playing against. So the Packers, the issue coming into the year is whether or not the secondary could hold up. And you fix your secondary by making your pass rush incredible. And that's pretty much what they did. Now, without Micah there, and you can sort of see at the end of the Broncos game, who aren't amazing at throwing the ball, that they really took advantage. So the Bears passing game is good, but the running game's even, like, it's where they are just going to do it. They're just going to ground them, which is going to be interesting. And then on top of that, you lost a safety as well. Your best safety went out, and the right tackle went out as well. So it was just awful for the Packers fans, and it's going to be tough regardless. But it's injuries happen in this league, as we saw last week. It was ridiculous with injuries and Mahomes and everything. So I think the Bears need to win 2. They may get in with just 1 win. I think they can take advantage of the 49ers defensively because they've got a lot of injuries as well. But I think the 49ers will rip apart our defense quite easily as well. So that's going to be interesting. And then the Lions' last game of the season, ideally they'll be out by then, but realistically that could be a winner takes all, which is going to be like the most juicy game ever.
Yeah, because that's the other one is obviously if you beat Packers this weekend and the Lions lose, I think you can go through a bit of like the wild card spot. So, for the Bears, it's pretty good. I mean, I was chatting to somebody the other day, and it was like, if I wasn't a Packers fan, I'd be absolutely betting the house that Green Bay don't make the playoffs. If you'd have asked us by halftime of last week, do we make the playoffs? I think everybody, whether you're a Packers fan or not, would say, yeah, Green Bay are going to make the playoffs. We get injury after injury. We go on and just, get absolutely destroyed by the kind of fourth quarter. And now looking at our next 3 games, it's like, where do we get a win? And exactly what you say with Micah Parsons, he's made everybody else so much better.
Absolutely.
Because he takes their best man, which allows our and it kind of advances further forward. So, I mean, yes or no, then do the Bears make the playoffs?
I say yes. I think from an odds point of view, they're about 80%, which again, like 10 wins already is just ridiculous for where we came from last year. The Bears lost 10 games in a row last year, and they had the number 1 pick 2 years ago. Obviously, they traded that to the Panthers and got the haul, and then we got the big number 1 pick off them again for the next year, and we got Caleb and Rome, who may not play as well, which I think is important for the Packers game. And we're also missing our other rookie wideout, Luther Burden, may not play as well because he went out injured with an ankle injury as well.
Okay, missed that.
So he was he didn't train yesterday. So he's at the moment I don't think he's got a designation, but I'd say he probably won't play versus the Packers. But again, I expect them just to run the ball. Like it's going to be cold as it was. It was the last game the Bears played on Sunday against the Browns. Apparently, was the fourth coldest game ever in Chicago history. And what was good though, well, what helped, it wasn't very breezy. It wasn't very windy, but it was just frightfully cold. And like it's crazy. Like it's hard to imagine, but I think it was like minus 12 centigrade average during the game, and it's just like, what in the world?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a fun watch. I think this weekend across the league in the NFL is going to be big for lots of different teams. Obviously, as we get into week 17, 18, a lot of the kind of, certain teams are all going to be into the playoffs and they're going to be benching some of their kind of starting guys. We saw it with the Eagles against the Raiders where, they're kind of their first string offensive players, they got benched and the backups still outperformed the Raiders, which was fucking marvelous. But it's definitely going to be an interesting one for any fans of the NFL as well as kind of, SDF players. And Sam, do you own any kind of Bears players or Packers players in your initial players? Who are you siding with? I know you're kind of with your limited knowledge.
Yeah, I'm just checking. Just give me a second. So, yeah, I don't have any actually from both of your teams.
So I would say that both Caleb and Jordan Love are lower down the order of quarterbacks who you would choose usually. I think that's reflected in the price. And the players have definitely
Caleb
got...
Williams' price has just skyrocketed. Did you see that this morning?
Yeah,
His price went like 60%.
Yeah, and look at the time when the packs first launched and we realized some of the players would go underneath the initial pack price, I was like, what? Really? Okay. And so I was just buying up Romadunze, DeAndre Swift, and Caleb, and I think I've got 100K in each of them now. So I'm like all in. But again, this is highest, but it's how I play these sort of games anyway. If any of them hit, which they have, because Swift got a second when we played the Eagles game. I think he got second in the running back TP. I think I got 45,000 TP off him alone.
I know. I'm just looking now. So before FDF launched, I out of the quarterbacks, and where I was saying kind of what I think is the pros and the cons for buying different players. I mean, I actually had Caleb Williams as the 11th out of the 12 quarterbacks for me, just because I think at the time, obviously, this was before, I think near the start of the season, the Bears had lost like 2 out of 3 or something like that.
Yeah,
you hadn't yet gone on this massive win streak before coming against the Packers where you eventually lost. I think playoff percentage, you were like 20 odd percent, at the time, because it was just like such a slim chance that the Bears make the playoffs. I always questioned Caleb this season has been very good at evading sacks. He hasn't been sacked that much on a league average. However, every single game, I see so many opportunities where he's a fingertip away from being sacked, or he does get sacked once or twice a game, but it could have been 5 or 6 sacks. And I I pointed this out to say, yes, I know he's not like the most sacked quarterback. However, I thought on the offensive line, he doesn't have that much protection. But as the league's gone on, and it pains me to say this, but as the league's gone on, I think the Bears have actually given their quarterback probably one of the best protections in the past, and that's shown as the season's gone on.
Yeah, I can, like obviously, I watch and listen to so many things about the Bears. It's ridiculous. My entire podcast feed is about the Bears. So the offensive line last year was terrible, and he was pretty much either it was either the record or the second most sacked quarterback ever. And he was a rookie, but that was like the entire season. The entire team was just an absolute write-off. They
Yeah,
made humongous investment in the offensive line in the offseason, brought in basically a future Hall of Famer in Joe Tooney. He's won 4 Super Bowls, 2 with the Patriots, 2 with the Chiefs, and he's the left guard. Brought in the best center who was available, Drew Dalman, and brought in a humongous man as a right guard, Jonah Jackson, who used to play for Penn Johnson, and then they had a problem with left tackle. They've sort of got that, and they have a right tackle who was already there, who was a highly draft pick in Darnell Wright. But realistically, it's not just those 5; it's the team ethos of the protection system. So it was always going to be that it was going to be a little bit better. But also on top of that, Caleb is elusive as anything, and
mm,
he's. I'm not comparing him to Holmes directly, but he has a Holmesian trait that he just seems to be just faster than the guy chasing him, just a little bit faster all the time.
yeah,
And I'm sure I've seen some stats there where he holds the outside of like some wide receivers and some cornerbacks. He's had the most 20 miles per hour sort of gains of like any player. He like hits that, and again, he's just fast
yeah,
enough just to get away all the time. And he's I think he's avoided 30 one-on-one attempts to sack him. And again, he's not the size of a Josh Allen. He's not like 6'5", 6'6", and a humongous guy. He's more like 6'1", but he's so strong in his core and his legs. He's damn hard
mm,
to bring down, and he's proven that. And that's been
yeah.
really, and it's added an extra layer because now every defense is terrified of him avoiding that sort of first pressure of the first 2 to 3 to 4 seconds. He's not seeing anything, and he makes some sort of crazy move. And again, he's unpredictable. He goes left and right as well, which is really weird because he's so athletically gifted. Most quarterbacks who are right-handed don't want to go to the left because then it's harder to
The
throw
throwing
it with
crossbody,
torque.
yeah,
But as he's so athletically gifted, he can. So actually, a lot of the linemen who are attempting to sack him, like, okay, most people will go that way, but he goes that way. It's just like, oh my god. So yeah, it's interesting. And yeah,
no,
I saw him as undervalued.
yeah,
As a quarterback.
he's definitely undervalued in terms of quarterback. I think it's a difficult one when you're looking at a sport.fun kind of aspect because you've literally got top 3. And when you then look at him as a quarterback, he's like you say, athletically, he's gifted. I think he's shown that in his second year where, this season we're very much seeing his ability to elude tackles and to kind of, his pocket presence is growing much stronger, where exactly like you say, he's able to scramble out the pocket very well. My fear sometimes when you look at a sport.fun, and I've not looked at his fantasy points to know whether this is a correct observation or whether I'm miles wide of the mark. He's not somebody that every single week has got the wide receiver options to be scoring multiple touchdowns. So point scoring basis, that's why I kind of had him low down.
Yeah,
Not saying he's
absolutely.
a bad player, but like you say, Roma Dunze isn't really an amazing wide receiver one. He's a brilliant utility man. Don't get me wrong. I didn't realize Luther Burden's kind of picked up a bit of an injury, but if Burden proves to kind of show what he's already shown in parts, then that can very much change. Dan, I want to kind of strip it back a little bit then. So you
Sure.
kind of said beforehand you've got kind of a wide history in terms of fantasy sports and kind of before you get into here. And I see on your Twitter bio, you've kind of shown that you've been in the Web3 crypto space since 2017. I saw
Yep.
that you're, within the Wolves DAO, something that I know Adam himself is as well. Kind of, do you want to give us a little bit of, from a young Dan to where he is now, his kind of journey through fantasy sports? Kind of, how did you
Sure.
find sport.fun and you kind of your background with it all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I very much have got a varied history in a lot of things. So m- I originally, like, I'm very much a massive gamer. So you can probably tell if it's in this. I've got this humongous gaming rig here, which is just was a fantastic purchase in the last bull market because and so that was it's like so it's crazy. So I was always a massive gamer, and I found Bitcoin in 2013 through watching a StarCraft 2 event. And the prize for the winner was 13 Bitcoins in 2013, which is just crazy. And I sort of went down the rabbit hole a little bit, and then everything crashed. I was like, oh, okay, that was just useless, and just wrote it all off and carried on with my life, basically. I came back to crypto in late 2017, heard about Ethereum, went into a lot of those early ICOs, which was a wild time if anyone could remember those. But one of the things which I did very, very early, I stumbled across Crypto Kitties in late 2017. So I was very, very early NFTs. And I'd just come from playing a ridiculous amount of Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. I was a heavy Clash of Clans player, pretty much addicted to Clash of Clans, and I used CryptoKitties and early blockchain gaming, which was Axie Infinity, and that as basically a cold turkey to get out of Clash of Clans. I was running 5 guilds, wars every time on Discord, like for hours, 1 hour. It was just wild. While I was having a wife and kids and everything, all the other stuff. So I went from one addiction to another addiction. So I got addicted into like NFTs. So I was in I was really fortunate to be in the very early days of blockchain gaming, where no one really knew where it was going. We all knew it was pretty cool. We all knew NFTs would kind of be quite cool, but well, at the time we just always didn't know what it was going to be eventually. So I found So Rare in early 2019, probably late 2018. I don't know the exact time. So there was a guy I was playing another game with, and he said, "Look, you're English. You must know about football." Yes, I do, obviously. Well, there's this thing called So Rare. So I was like, "Oh, really?" And I was never a massive So Rare player because I just hadn't got the time to watch it. Like I played fantasy FPLs and stuff for a long time, but wasn't ever consistent. Never really took it that seriously because I was always up to something else and doing something else. So I got into early So Rare. I still have a load of my original cards, although a friend has them. I've sent them all to a friend who now uses them all the time. I've actually got a very cool collectible. I've got a Declan Rice West Ham 2018 with an Irish flag. And that's a really cool collectible in So I think there's only about 20 of them or something like that. So that's
Wow.
it's big because again a lot of people don't know he actually was an Irish international before he was in England, which is it's like why keep saying? But anyway, whatever. And yeah, at the time, as time went by, just by being around in the right places, just being curious, just learning, just trading. I was early OpenSea. I used to volunteer for OpenSea back in 2019, 2020. So I was trading on OpenSea in the early days. The time when NFT art came around, I was involved in that. Then the PFPs came around, I was minting Bored Apes and Cyberkongs and Pudgy Penguins and whatever. It was absolute craziness of, and you lost all sense of the value of things, basically, because you were having offers for crazy money, and then you would just, whatever, accept that, just buy another mint, and they was rolling it around. And I did really well on a bunch of stuff, not so well on a lot of other stuff. So I essentially went full-time crypto and Web3 in late 2021. Joined Yale Guild Games in the investment team as like a analyst in the investment team. So Yale Guild Games is one of the early Axie Infinity guilds from the Philippines. So I knew the original founder. He needed some help. I essentially just lost my job. Wasn't really interested in another job, but I just went into that and again just learned there. So I was a part of YDG for like 3 years. So that's why I know a bunch of the guys in Wolvesdale, like Sam and Peyton and all that sort of stuff. And so that eventually led to a whole host of other stuff. And I'm now an independent advisor consultant for companies who are interested in the blockchain. And I do some consulting for a company called Foundation Ventures at the moment as well. Angel investor, but pretty much a crypto degen, which leads me to pretty much leads me to football.fun. So I've been involved in FPL more heavily for the past 3 years. And so there's a podcast called the Above Average FPL. This is one of their mugs. They have a podcast every week, very analytical. Say, pair of Tottenham fans, so they are just wanting to kill themselves at the moment again. They're in utter hatred of what's going on at Tottenham, as they tend to be, because it's Tottenham. They just tend to do this all the time, and I've been helping out those guys, and again, to come full circle, I met those guys in Clash of Clans, in a UK Clash of Clans guild where we won the World Cup in 2017. So it was basically the three of us were the leaders, the adults in the room who were in charge of all these retarded little kids who were running around and doing stuff. So that was it's just like I'm sure if you've ever been involved in any of these games, you know exactly what I mean. It's just it's just mental at the best time. So I'm involved in FPL. I've been taking it a lot seriously the last 3 years. I think I got 150k 3 years ago, about 200k last year. I'm currently inside of the top 5k in FPL at the moment. I'm just a bit outside, although I had Bruno, so that was really good in the last game. So, I knew Adam was building something, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was. And I had a chat with him at a conference down in London about a year and a bit ago. And he briefly touched on what he was making, and I knew he came from the Sorare world and his history. So I was intrigued, but not intrigued. I was like, okay, I've seen it before. It's so rare. It's like this. And again, at the time when I worked at YGG, I was a guy who was handed every single football type of game to look at. And I've seen loads of football games with crypto elements and NFTs and Web3, and most of them were a load of crap, basically. So I was kind of wasn't really trusting what he was saying, as in, that's interesting. That's kind of what's going to go on. So at the time when the original free to play came over and the original alphas and betas, I wasn't involved. I then hit him up probably just before launch, and I managed to take half an hour of his time. And I don't remember if he offered me to Angel into the ICO or not, regardless, I didn't, although I should have done, but maybe I couldn't because I was hitting on anyway. But well, whatever, because of the talking regulations. But at a time when just before everything went crazy in the original first couple of weeks, I joined and had a look around, made some deposits, went heavy into Salah, which was a terrible decision to say the least. He's undervalued. He had the best season ever. And he's not done a lot this year. Although I was very heavy into Kane and Elise and a few of the players who did quite well, and I liked Anderson quite early. I think I was talking to Sam on X about it and stuff. It's like, look, I like Anderson. I think he's a great player, and it's pretty obvious he's going to be either at City or somebody very quickly. He's going to be, and so I was just liked it. Heard they were going to be NFL. I was like, okay. I know a ridiculous amount about NFL. I'm completely addicted to NFL. I love NFL, so I think I can outperform a lot of people in this. And through my history in Web3 gaming, I remember the history of Sorare, and I remember what Sorare was and where it was, and the raises they did, and the valuations they hit, and after talking to Adam and then learning and watching him on podcasts and everything he's done and the team and stuff, it was quite obvious they're aiming for not just crypto people, which is a huge thing, and the onboarding to make it easy. And as soon as I saw what they were doing with the USDC and the gold and everything and the ease of doing it, I was like, actually, that's really cool. Really, really cool. And I was like, okay, I really understand this. And if they can then onboard it so that you don't need to have a Pace wallet, you don't need to have USDC, you can just use pounds, dollars, whatever. And they've done that. So I was like, okay. And then it's coming on Coinbase, it's coming on the Pace wallet. There's a lot to like here. So I was like, okay, I'll take a much bigger punt. So I was happy with my position in the football version, but as soon as NFL came around, I rebalanced a bunch of my other assets. I'm a complete crypto degen, so I've got assets all over the place, and I did very well during the AI boom last year. So and a lot of those weren't doing well, so I just sold off a lot of stuff. It was all on the Pace network, and just plowed it into like NFL. And that's how it is. So I think my portfolio in NFL is probably about 50 to 60% higher than my portfolio in football, and as it seems to be generating a much higher multiplier in TP for me, that's where my focus is.
No, sounds good. I mean, I love how you can pretty much sum everything up by saying, I'm just a crypto DJ, and that's fucking brilliant.
Well, it is.
I'm sat here as well, just having kind of flashbacks and memories to Clash of Clans, and I spent a lot of my school years stood around with all my mates fucking playing Clash of Clans. Sam, did you ever? Absolutely. Is that something you've ever had a dabble on, Clash of Clans, Sam, or
actually,
have you got no idea?
It's really funny. I downloaded it once. I played, I think, for an hour, and then I deleted it. I don't know why. I think maybe I was late to the hype, but there were people in my class, I remember, all they were doing is Clash of Clans, to the point where their personality became Clash of Clan personality. But for some reason, wow. I never really got into it. I don't know why, because everyone was doing that. I think I was more into like Pokemon cards, which is interesting. But at the time, I remember, what was it, 2017, 2016? I think those were the peak years.
It was earlier for me. Yeah, so it must have been, I think in terms of, if I look at my age, it must have been 2014, 2015. I was big in Clash of Clans.
Yep.
It was kind of maybe the year before it's when it started, but 2014, 2015 for me was like every single day obsession, just constantly on the game. And then I think, if I remember correctly, they then started bringing out, like, is it Beach? What was the beach game?
Boom Beach.
Boom Beach came out, and then they had Clash Royale.
Clash
Yeah,
Royale
so
came out.
and I mean,
I was
I've
heavily
still got
involved.
I've still got Clash Royale, and it's like I will go through phases where I wake up playing Clash Royale and go to bed playing Clash Royale and do that for 2 weeks. And I've not touched the game for about a month. But I guarantee after this fucking call, now that you've said this, Dan, I'll be going, oh, I wonder if I can just, I wonder if I can collect my Supercell and get my old Clash of Clans base back. And
Yeah.
that's brilliant memories. That, I tell you what, I wasn't expecting to go down memory lane of Clash of Clans today.
Yeah, it was a good time. I was involved in the early days of Boom Beach as well, and Clash. And it's why I've got a crazy early Discord account. So I've got a Discord account from like October 2015. Because the Clash of Clans clan I was in, we basically forced everyone off our other platforms. We were on Group Me and Line and a bunch
Yeah.
of other flipping things, and we made everyone go to Discord. and that's the entire reason why I've got like a 10-year-old Discord account.
It's funny how these things kind of intertwine, and like you say,
Yeah.
you've then gone through the Discord and then through Clash of Clans, you've done this and kind of leapfrogged your way into the crypto world. And I think, yeah, it's good to hear the mix of people. So I think myself, I am completely crypto retarded. Like, I've got no idea on anything. If you ask me to send funds from, oh, you need to create a new wallet, what do I have to do? I don't know. I am here purely on the kind of the fantasy basis.
Yeah.
And I know Sam's more leaning towards kind of the crypto, but to kind of hear almost like an OG, you're in there from day one and you've kind of watched, I mean, I was on the sidelines probably watching those crypto kitties on the aftermath when their price, plummeted. And that was my first insight in an NFT. It's like, well, this NFT 6 months ago got sold for 7 figures and now it's not being sold for a fiver. They're a load of shite. Whereas you've kind of seen that whole journey start to finish and been involved. It's great to hear. I just wanted to ask as well, though. So when you say you kind of had that conversation with Adam down in London, I think it was at the kind of the conference expo, whatever. Had he kind of given you the kind of a brief plan with an explanation that NFL was going to come in, and that was what hooked you, or was it just purely I'm an FPL player, you like fantasy football, so you're interested in the fantasy football, and the NFL being an addition is just an added bonus? What's kind of that like for you?
So in the time I first met him in person at the conference and in London, that was at a much earlier stage, and I don't think there was any mention of NFL.
Okay.
At the time I joined, and I actually put any cash into it when I first came in. It was really chasing gains and making sure I wasn't as late or huge FOMO for it. I've got story after story after story after story of my crypto sort of life and what I've done and stuff. And then I've got, I tend to say I get lucky a lot, which is kind of true, but I just put myself into positions where I hear things through different things, and I'm pretty good at seeing something before it goes a bit crazy, and I'm happy to take a bit of a punt on something. And because I've had previous success in things, my 2018 $100 of a punt on something has now been able to be more like $1,000 punt on to something. I don't do a lot of selling. I'm well known for holding a bunch of stuff, and I'm quite lazy as well. And amazingly enough, being lazy in crypto is usually a pretty good thing as well, because often I can't be bothered to sell it. I'll just keep it, whatever. it's going down anyway. And a year, 2 years, 3 years later, it goes crazy, or a thing is pivoted and stuff. So that tends to happen often. So I saw the way it was going to go, and after playing it and seeing it and reading about the plans and things, I had concerns. I knew the investment things as well, because I came from the investing background on my time at YGG, so I knew about six-man ventures and Mike Todas as well. So that gave me a very much a green light. Okay, this is legit. They've got some pretty big guys behind them there, and they've obviously convinced these guys that they've got something. So okay, so I was, and again, the first time I saw them using stable coins in the game and how it looked with the gold, I was like, that's really clever, really clever, and I really liked that. And I was like, okay, but as again, I'd come from this Web3 gaming heyday of Axie, and then everything which came from it, and there was some really good successes, some absolute failures, some things which were terrible, all of the above. And I've seen a bunch of problems and having tokens and liquidity and all this sort of stuff. But actually, I was like, oh, okay, this was pretty much the first gaming-esque type thing which really piqued my interest and which I was happy to take a bit of a punt on. And I'm really happy with what it is. And it's, again, as soon as I heard they were not just focusing on football, but actually happy to look at other things, and it came out to look at NFL, looking at basketball, makes a lot of sense in other regions of the world, like India for cricket, as an example. There's lots of ways this could work in lots of other areas. Baseball is another example. I think baseball would work really well as well, because it's a long season as well. So there's lots of other games. Like, can you imagine this with in the Olympics, as an example, or whatever, athletics? There's lots and lots and lots of things this could all be transitioned to, which interlinks into your game. And again, onboarding new people is always going to be the tricky bit. The Coinbase app and the Coinbase support through Coinbase Ventures now ticks another box. And again, I've had lots of talks with the guys at Coinbase. I've helped out other teams who are launching on the Pace app, and a lot of this is about the amount of people who could be able to see football.fun, go in, have a play on the free version. I like that. What would happen if I put in a little bit of cash? And look, I've no idea what the numbers are, but the revenues for, say, FIFA Ultimate Team, as an example, are astronomical.
Yeah, of course.
The amount of people who put in £10 a month, $10 a month, and the rest is crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. And with the way we're going with prediction markets and all this sort of stuff as well, the regulations allowing it, this ticks a lot of boxes, and I still think it's early.
No, brilliant.
I have a question, actually. As someone who's been in the space for a while, you've said you've been watching your team since the 80s. I wasn't even born then. You were early to crypto.
Yep.
I entered in 2021 during the bull run. Obviously near the top, I lost a bit of money. Didn't put much in, but like the usual, I was the retail that came in 2021, and then now I've sort of done 1.5 cycles ish. And I'm kind of disappointed of this cycle, I have to say, a little bit. So as someone who's been in the space for a while, do you see NFTs potentially making a comeback? Or is it so that even concerning crypto projects, there's just so many projects where there's not enough money to get this crazy hype again, where now everything just gets diluted into all these good, medium, below medium, low, just trashy projects. So I wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I honestly don't think there's a right answer, and I don't think anyone kind of knows. At the time I first came in, I came in at the top. I was the retailer who came in at another cycle. And again, if you look at this with a much long-term view, I think it's always going to be fine to be into from that point of view. NFTs and gaming and it's changing a lot. The technology, what we had in 2021 is nowhere close to what we've got now in 2025, as an example. People completely underestimated that there's not a lot of people like me who are happy to go and learn and play a game when it's hard to get into it. A lot of just normal gamers or just normal people don't care. They just don't care, and they don't want to learn. So hiding everything in the background was always something which we knew we had to do. Kind of goes against the ethos of the original crypto stuff of you have to own your keys and that sort of stuff, and but which is interesting how that's going to change. The term NFTs will change. It'll just be collectibles. Like it's already there. It's already there in Fortnite, CS:GO, whatever. There's I think that a lot of companies who are building in this arena in various industries, you have to go one of two ways. Either you lean into the crypto part of it and you teach your audience this is how to do it properly, your own keys, you need a wallet, blah, da, 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 da. But that's massive fiction and it's going to come. But there's not a lot of people. Or you have everything hidden in the background and you just use it with your Google login and you use it with that and that. It's like, and I use analogies all the time in this sort of thing. I know how to drive a car. I've no idea how a car works. I don't know how a car works. It's got an engine in it. How does an engine work? I don't know. But I turn the key and I press the accelerator and I go. And that's kind of how it is. Like another great analogy. I'm on a Windows computer here. I'm probably taking a guess. You're either on a Apple or a Windows. If you were a nerd, you'd be on a Linux computer. Who uses Linux apart from nerds? And that's where crypto is. If you think of crypto as the people who go and do all the crazy stuff, the engineers and the devs, they're on the Linux platform. Everyone else, 99.99999% of the world, they don't care. They just want to use whatever it is. And so that's how it's going to be. There's a lot of games out there which, as an example, I come from I have been in the gaming industry for quite a while now. A good example for me is FIFA Rivals and NFL Rivals. Have you ever seen those up on mobile? An average user wouldn't know, but everything's on chain. That's all on chain in the background. Everything in there is like NFTs, but you don't know. And you don't care. You just know you get your players and you convert them and you do it, and that's but everything's on chain. It's all on the ethical chain and stuff, and it's been really well done. And they take fees on the high ground and stuff. So that's how it's going to be. And eventually, it will have options like in all these games and all these platforms, whatever it is. Who cares what the actual product is? You will be able to just log in and just do it. But if you want to go down the rabbit hole and import or export your C phrase and hold your own keys and put it into an outside wallet because you want to have it in cold storage, you will have that option to have it. And I see that's how it's going to be.
Oh, thanks for the analogy. That's actually a great way to look at it. Going in the car, turning the engine, because I'm the same. I've no clue. I have friends, they talk about engines and horsepower. I don't even know what that is. I just put the key in and I just want to go from A to B. But from crypto, I'm also
Absolutely.
more of a, I have wallets and stuff. So that's, I guess, having an option for both people is a great thing. And no, that's a great analogy, actually. That makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
I think we're seeing it as well, kind of falling out now within Sport.fun with the token. I'm seeing, as we're talking, my Discord messages and different chat groups pop up saying, how the fuck do I buy in the ICO? Because they need different wallets and USD1 and to transfer and to do this and log into Legion and Kraken. And they're like, I just want to play Sport.fun. And that, for me, is definitely an issue that I face within the crypto world is everything needs a different wallet. Everything needs a different, you sending it on Ethereum or Base or this or that, and you need gas fees and you need this. And it's like,
Yeah.
I just want to fucking buy it and play. And so,
Yeah.
as I was saying earlier, I am a fantasy player. I am a FIFA player. I'm a football manager player. I am somebody that wants to hit the button, power on, hit start game and play. And I think Sport.fun is doing quite a decent level with that. For me personally, I can have a Coinbase wallet and I can just go buy base, send it. And that's,
Yeah.
it's a 1 or 2 step kind of process. Yes, it's quite difficult to understand the downloads and the setting up and understanding, your safe keys and for your wallet and all this. That's a little hurdle. But obviously we're seeing like the likes of MoonPay within the game now that I'm not too sure how many people are using it. I don't think we have the data, but it's there for people to go, I can just deposit directly into the game with MoonPay from my credit card, from my debit card, play the game and kind of, crack on. And I do think it's a hurdle for the kind of crypto space en masse. So rare for me. I started playing it a few months ago for a little while. Very, very easy set up and literally just bank transfer, buying into the game. It's almost like it's not an NFT. And you said that word collectible. I am just collecting this card for whatever reason, and I can play a game with that card that I collect. And it is a kind of a good point that I think is a hurdle. But no, Sam, I like your kind of question as well around the dilution of all these different products and all these different games. And I think so many of the games kind of overlapping what once was or what we already have, that it's no longer a standout product that, needs to kind of push up. But I want to ask as well, Dan, kind of, I think we're 3-4 months into the pro version of Sport.fun. But from kind of your experience and your background, kind of as an advisor, is there anything that you think Sport.fun haven't done yet that they should do as a kind of number one priority, or they should have done already, that would kind of maybe accelerate things? It's quite a difficult question, I understand.
Yeah, but no, I think it's a fair question. As a front-end user of the product, so all of us aren't involved in the team of things. This is like we don't know what's coming. We don't know. We
Of course.
we can see things on the timeline and that sort of thing, but things are always going to change. Again, I like analogies. I was around in the early days of Sorare. So this was like late 2018, early 2019, and it's you see and play Sorare now, and it's very nice. It's very beautiful. There's lots of different things you can do, lots of like challenges and that sort of stuff. It was nothing like that in the early days for like 2 years, probably 3 years. Maybe again, I wasn't as active in Sorare, so I can't actually remember the timeline of what it was. The onboarding was not there. It was all you needed your own MetaMask wallet and this sort of stuff. And so it was, and absolutely, you made a really good point. We're only 3 to 4 months in at we're still early. This is the easy way to sort of say this. I think that kind of social interaction sort of type thing, challenges, bonuses from there, allowing you to participating in other things outside of what your players do, I think is really cool. Like, say, hold, I don't know, you have two players from the Italian league or the Bundesliga, and you've got to just make sure you have got this to go, or you run this and stuff. And incentives to hold, I think, is good. Like I don't trade as much as what I think I sold De Bruyne when he went down injured. That's pretty much the most impulsive thing I've done in football.com. As I was online at the time, and I saw it go down, or I heard it really quickly, and bang, sell all of it. And that's pretty much the only impulsive thing I have done. And there's always going to be that amount. And obviously, they have got the increase of the fees and taxes and stuff when the surge activation, whatever they call it. I do like that, but that's the having incentives to hold. It's going to be very interesting what we do in the NFL offseason. Very interesting when the playoffs go. What's going to happen to the other players? Are we just going to all go to zero, or we don't really know? Like I see things as a much long-term thing. Hiring up rookies or young players makes a lot of sense. Like I own 100K of this player, 100K of that player, of a total shares of 25 million shares of lifetime shares of a player. So if I can own like 1% of a Caleb Williams or whoever, a Jordan Love as an example, and he's in the league for 10 years, and if you've got that much of a long-term view of where these things are going to go, and NFL is a bit different than football. The average lives of an NFL player is nowhere close to the average life of a football player.
Yeah, of course.
So it's unusual for a Philip Rivers to come back as a 40-odd-year-old player randomly. But anyway, that's all a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers to be playing as long as that. Like even a really, really good player probably is a 10-year life cycle, and an average player is a 2-year, and they can have injuries which just derail everything. And it's brutal. It's an absolute brutal, harsh reality of what NFL is. How that works, I'd love to see things coming into the draft. So the draft's ridiculously exciting, and as a Bears fan who have been terrible for like so long, the draft where you can get a really good young player joining your team, and who you get in that sort of stuff is really exciting time for us. And amazing enough, this year we may not have a really good draft pick, which is crazy to think. But how that works through, like, I'd love like an incentive to. We are probably going to get a couple of quarterbacks in the draft who go to relatively crap teams, but that's fine. Who cares? We're probably going to get a few wide receivers, some young running backs. There's a load of really good college tight ends. There's a guy at Oregon who's pretty much a Brock Bowers type of. He's probably, if I was to rank Brock Bowers, Colson Loveland, the guy at the Colts, who I can't remember his name, whatever. And he's probably in between Brock Bowers and Colson Loveland. So he's going to be ridiculously good. So he's called Hadik, I think is his name. He's going to be in the draft, and he's going to be like a top 10 draft pick. I'd love some edge rushers, some defenders in the NFL version, like, so you can have sacks or interceptions. So in like sleeper leagues, you essentially choose a defense. So I think that's probably a good way. So like in a lot of my leagues, I've got the Broncos as my defense, and they're just legendary because they just sack the quarterback all the time. So and they hold like so I think having a defense is probably a really good thing. I think that'd be something really cool to have. But yeah, it's. I think the take-home message for all this is it's early. Like in 2 years, we could have a app on the App Store.
Yeah.
And we may be licensed in the UK.
VPN can get turned off.
Yeah, and essentially that's the reality as we're sort of going with. And again, I can remember 4 or 5 years ago, you weren't even able to have any FanDuel and DraftKings wasn't even available in pretty much anywhere in America. It's only recently that they've had the ability to, like, essentially, if they wanted to make a bet on something, they needed to go to Las Vegas or something, which is just like mental when you think about it. But that's how fast things can change. So I think I'm very happy with what I've got in football.fun. If things go down more, I think I'll be purchasing more if I rebalance from other things. Because as I have mentioned, have a look back at what So Rare raised at. Have a look how much money they raised and the valuation of what So Rare was, and just do the math. It's very interesting. I'm not sure if you've actually ever seen this.
Yeah, how much was it? Tell us.
So Rare raised in 2021 $680 million in a Series B round, which valued them at $4.3 billion.
Jesus.
That's what So Rare did. And at that time, they weren't as large as what they are now. And look, it was in the hype, it was in the main, this is NFTs. There was lots of other factors, but you can see, what's the market cap now on Football.fun? It's not a lot.
And you can in that comparison. I think it's a brilliant point as well when you talk about kind of the life cycle of So Rare, and when you were in there, it was kind of a very bare game, and then kind of over time you've got these different competitions and bonuses and daily challenges and all these other exciting things to kind of do, and incentives to come back and to hold and to keep playing. And I just want to touch back on when you talked about kind of that one sale that you made was Kevin De Bruyne, and obviously De Bruyne went down. I remember in one of the Discord servers, I was watching the game. He took the penalty, pulled his hamstring, and I instantly put an app to everybody in the Discord server. I was like, De Bruyne's just fucking died. Like, his hamstring's gone. Like, sell. And it was
So I would like to know, did you sell first and then at everybody, or did you at everybody? Because I'd have sold it first.
I'd imagine I sold it first.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's his hamstring instantly went, and but I remember sitting there watching the game on my laptop or whatever it was, and I was like, oh shit, because De Bruyne, the age he's at, it's a recurring injury. It was one that was completely unprompted. He's kicked, his hamstring's gone. We might never see him play again. I genuinely believe that if De Bruyne's not back ready for the World Cup, I don't think he comes back to play. That's my opinion. So therefore, he's an immediate sell. Now, that's a rare and exceptional case. And one thing that I've kind of mentioned before in Discords on different calls, I think I've said it to kind of Rick's in the team, Rick's in the team even. It's fucking hardwired. It's hardwired in my brain. Is I would love contracts to have a bit of meaning within sport.fun. So contract cost at the moment is very, very small. It's only ever annoying when you've got no gold and you're like, fuck, I either have to deposit in like $10 so I can renew some contracts, or I've got to sell somebody to, it's like, I hate that headache. But I would love to see kind of contract cost maybe raised a little bit so that it's got a bit of meaning. But in doing so, every time a player that you own burns a contract, you get a small multiplier. So over the course of a football season, on average, across all competitions that are covered within sport.fun, in football, that player might play 30 games that season. Now, if you were to buy them pre-season and hold and renew contracts for all 30 of those games, at the end of the season, you could have a multiplier that's now 1.03%. So you get an extra small fraction of any TP won. So, I could basically say, well, look, for yourself, Dan, you've held Cole Palmer. He's not been in games, so he's not been getting any contracts. But you'd earn a 5% TP bonus before his injury. So now you've got an ultimatum of Cole Palmer's gone down injured. Do I sell him, get a bit of my money, but lose my 5% bonus on the TP? Or do I hold him throughout this injury that might be 3-4 months? And when he comes back, I've still got a multiplier that other people don't have. And I think if we can kind of get it so that it's more competitive and player versus player, it redacts the ability just to kind of hard sell as soon as somebody's made a bad pass, as soon as somebody's missed a shot, and kind of build a bit of longevity into it. And again, I go back to see what So Rare's done, and I've not got an amazing So Rare kind of knowledge. But if I buy a player on So Rare direct from So Rare themselves, I get a higher percentage bonus on their score because I get a collection bonus with it. Now, if I was to sell that and buy it off a secondary market, I get a lower. However, yes, I can spend experience points to raise that score and get more rewards on a percentage base. But it's all these little things that kind of just benefit and reward those people that are holding long term, as opposed to people that are hard traders, buy, sell, and just kind of skimming off the top. Because I think it will just open up this new ability of fantasy players. Because I had a look when you mentioned FPL. Last week I'd reset I'd used a wild card in my FPL last week because for about 2 months I hadn't changed it and I still had Evan Nielsen as my captain. I'd made Evan Nielsen my captain, forgot about it. My season's done. I just hit a wild card. I was like absolutely in the mud. But that's kind of where my mind goes, is actually that's going to be, if Sport.Fun goes out to the masses, you are going to have a lot of people set and forget. I mean, I saw it in the main Discord the other day. Somebody was like, oh, I've not been on for a month. My Ryan Shirky, I bought him for this. He's now worth 5 times more. Somebody, that literally had a month away from the game. And if you can kind of start to incentivize those set and forget, where actually you can come back at the start of the month, buy a load of players, come back 3 weeks later, renew some contracts and fuck off again. That's a good way to play, and it actually helps everybody else that's active on a day to day. So my call would be for kind of a little bit of an incentive, and as you kind of touched on, these extra bonuses and extra rewards for playing, I think will be benefit benefit the masses really. So Sam, kind of what do you think on long-term bonuses and long-term rewards, and kind of, is that something that you'd like to see? As you're a buy-in collector within the game yourself, would that kind of be something that would be good for you?
So this answer is obviously very biased because I hold my Bayern players. I don't sell them. I might rebalance them from the high shares to the players that have lower shares. So yes, this is a biased answer, but I would love if there's some kind of multiplier, obviously. If one holds a player for longer than a month, and then 2 or 3 or however long, because I'm a collector. I like my Bayern players. I don't have anyone else. So if that concentration that I have in my team, my favorite team, can get boosted, that would be great. But I also think that, like you said, for the overall market, it could help with the more impulsive traders, where they could chill out a bit more and maybe do some more conviction plays in someone they believe in, let's say longer than 2 games, maybe like 3 months even. I think that could help stabilize the volatility a little bit. So I think it could be a good way to incentivize the hodlers for sure.
I think I see it as well as a benefit potentially for the NFL, and at the moment, Dan, actually, I'll come on and kind of ask you this in a second, but for the moment with the NFL, I don't think we have a definitive answer, and it's something I asked last night around what is the cutoff for holding for the off season. Is it the player's last game? Is it the team's last game? Or is it kind of the last game of the season being the Super Bowl? When do I need to hold these players for to earn off season? And I think something like this as an incentive would also be a massive benefit in the NFL. So, say for instance, you held a player from the start of the season. Say you hold a Patrick Mahomes. You're holding Patrick Mahomes. He's gone down injured. The Chiefs haven't made the playoffs. The normal thing to do in this situation is to smash sell, get rid of him. You've got 3 weeks left of the regular season. Move that money elsewhere. Move that money into somebody for the playoffs. Try and win some more TP. But if you were to have a bonus on your Mahomes because you've held him for 15 games of the season, you can then say, well, actually, I'm going to hold Mahomes, hold him through the off season. Next season, he'll come back healthy, and I'll have this, 5% multiplier on TP, and I can win later on. And I just think we can get so many more layers. And not saying this is something that needs to happen tomorrow, but when I look at the game in its infancy, being 3-4 months old, and Dan, as you alluded to, where so rare took 2 years to have these things happen, I just see the game, but it's got so many avenues to explore in terms of what it is to different consumers and different users, that I think they can have something for everybody. But I mean, Dan, for yourself, I just touched on kind of the off season with the NFL, and by the sounds of it from your earlier answers, you like to hold and come back 5 years later and see if you've made any money. I assume you'll be holding during the off season.
Yeah, I see. I'm uh, a lot of the players I hold in for the NFL version are younger players anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely positioned myself into players who, injury notwithstanding, are going to be around for a while. There's obviously going to be changes every year. NFL is by far the most balanced league in the world, almost, from how they do it in the draft. Everyone changes, and a whole lot of changes. So there's going to be some players going to go to other positions or other teams and stuff. That's going to be interesting. I yeah, I personally, I'm not going to be selling. And actually, if again, let's just have an example of someone like Bo Nix or Jordan Love or something like that. If the price keeps going down and down and down and down in relation to everybody else, I'm like, oh, that's going to be really good because he's in a really good situation. It's a good team. They've got really good wide receivers, and realistically, 3 out of the 16 to 17 weeks, he's probably going to be in the top 1 or 2, because realistically, you'll probably be up against a terrible defense a few times and just take advantage of them and stuff. And like, look, Josh Allen and stuff, he's just unbelievable. He's just like, so I think it's going to be interesting. Holding and getting shares or an earlier way of buying into draft picks, I think, is pretty good. That's something I'd love to see. Something about the draft and excitement on the draft, I think, is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Or players we currently don't have in the game. Like at the time when we first released the initial players, it was very obvious, especially in wide receivers. I think it's probably the easiest way to look at it. There's a load of like number 2 wide receivers on some teams who are crazy good, who would be the number 1 in pretty much half of the league. So you're looking at the Eagles with AJ Brown, and then you got Devontae Smith, Chase at the Bengals, and T. Higgins. And then you've got Puka Nacua with Devontae Adams and stuff. So that it's interesting because it makes the player who is on SDF more valuable, which people may not realize that their number 2 is ridiculously good. But realistically, number 2 should also be on SDF anyway. There must that's the it's crazy that the probably the MVP of the league isn't even a quarterback in SDF. Matthew Stafford is probably going to win the MVP, and he's not even a quarterback in the game at the moment. And I think Devontae Adams is the leading touchdown player in the league for wide receivers. He's certainly up there in the top 5. Although he's injured now, so that's a moot point. So because as everyone's injured, but
Yeah,
See how it goes.
it'll be interesting when we come around next season, and one of the things they've kind of spoken about with the Fun Token is this new scouting platform. We've
Yep.
heard about it kind of in terms of the football.fun aspect, where you know, I was about to say Bruno's not with us today, like he's dead, but Bruno's not on the call right now. But you know, he's somebody that really wants Estevao, the Brazilian guy from Chelsea, in the game, and he's kind of said that, you know, with his fun tokens on the scouting platform, he'll be backing for that. With NFL, we've got 72 players in the game right now. I highly expect that number to double next season, you know, throughout the draft process, just through, like you say, Matt Stafford not being in. You know, I can imagine we're probably going to have changes to the way the game is. So that's a bit of a worry for me in terms of holding on the off season, because if, say, for instance, there's 12 quarterbacks right now, and I'm holding you know, the eighth best quarterback in SDF. When we come around to next season, is he still the eighth best quarterback out of 12, or is he now going to be like the 20th best quarterback out of 24? You know, so there's all these different things on changes happening, and that's what excites me a lot throughout the off season. That I think people kind of go, "Oh, the season's dead," until kick off next season. There's nothing to do in NFL. There's so much. There's going to be trades happening. There's going to be the draft happening. There's going to be new players getting added. It's an exciting time, I think, for the NFL as a game and as a platform. Today, I say today, about 2 hours ago, about half an hour before recording, the tweet went out that the ICO for the Fun Token had hit 3 million, which was the soft cap. Sam, do you want to kind of talk us around what that means for sport.fun? We're 1.5 million away from the hard cap, and you know, exciting times.
I mean, actually, concerning ICOs, I don't know that much. I just know it means initial coin offering, if I'm not mistaken. So I was able to take part of it because I'm not in the UK, and you had to send an application, and it said, how much do you want? How much have you deposited in USD1? So I said, okay, $200. And then what's the minimum you want? I said, okay, at least $100 would be nice. And yeah, like you said, Palmer, there was a bit of crypto gymnastics I had to do. I had some things on other chains, had to send them over, bridge them, get them onto the wallet on Legion, connect my MetaMask wallet also. But it was actually quite smooth. But I get it. If you're not into this, it could be quite challenging if you're doing it for the first time. But no, I sent the application, and I just know that once it reaches 4.5, I think then that's it. But I could be wrong. And yeah, I'm just waiting for what they say about my application, if they will accept my $200 deposit.
I saw somewhere that did you have to write a cover letter? Somebody was talking about, or was
you
that just
had
a
the
joke? I
option
couldn't quite
to
tell.
put a cover letter, put like wait, I can actually tell you right now. I have it open right here. So
Because yeah, I've obviously just not even bothered trying, because you know, I can't pass the KYC. But
yeah, cover letter, it says. Yeah, you could add a cover letter. Yeah, it just says in review by project. So now I just have to wait for 21 hours, and then the project will review your application in the next few hours.
no, yeah, it's
Interesting.
it's going to be interesting. I mean, but by the time this episode goes live tomorrow, it will all be said and done in terms of the ICO date. As you just touched on, we're less than 24 hours away from the close. A lot of what I've kind of heard, and again, I'm a virgin to all this. I have no idea what's going on, but a lot of what I've heard is a lot of the whales will probably come in kind of at the latter stages, you know, final hour or two. Because if you're somebody that wants to go for, I think minimum was $100 and maximum was $100,000, with a cap on Kraken being like 5K or something daft. But you know, if you're somebody that goes, I want to go and back 100 grand, you're not doing that 2 days ago and having that 100 grand sat with somebody else. You're doing it last minute. Bang, here's my 100 grand. Let me know in an hour or two whether I've got it. If not, give it me back. So you know, kind of a lot of people who are more aware of the space have kind of said that actually where we're at, hitting the soft cap at this stage is brilliant, because the final hour will be where it kind of kicks on and kind of runs away. It can obviously be oversubscribed, but that's where the hard cap kind of comes in to say, you've asked for this, but your minimum this, we're oversubscribed, so we can only give you X amount. I did see that Adam kind of said, I think if they're oversubscribed, so say if you've asked Sam for $200 with a minimum $100, apparently if they can only give you $90, they'll actually give you nothing, because so I've got no idea how it all works, but that's kind of what I saw Adam say in a Discord message, that people would be unhappy. So that's how it's kind of whittled down. But I only found out today that despite not being able to get involved in the ICO, I can buy the token after TGE. So that's exciting, and I'll probably be getting involved in that. I assumed that because the ICO was done through Legion and Kraken, for me buying would also have to be dealt with KYC, but that's not the case. So although I'll miss the initial start point, it's nice to know that I can still get involved and still kind of jump in, because some of the benefits, the analytical tool, is going to help very much for people that are trying to not just trade, but buy in for long term. You're going to see statistics of predicted lineups and kind of injury reports and all the, league table positions all in one place, which will be magical. There'll obviously be the scouting tool where we can start kind of suggesting, and I don't know the term that they want to use, but start, putting our tokens against who we think should join the platform. So, like Dan just suggested, Matt Stafford is probably going to be a safe bet, as well as other benefits that will come later down the line, not from day one, I think. But so reduction of fees when trading, I think, will be massive. I checked today, actually, and my account is 41st of trade volume since the pro version went live. So I wouldn't mind a reduction on the fees. I've paid quite a healthy 5-figure sum in fees through trading. So a reduction of fees. Yeah,
I mean, don't want to check either.
So
I don't want to check.
There's a lot of benefits for the fun token. Dan, I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark and say that this isn't your first rodeo with an ICO. Obviously, you can't either get involved in the ICO, but would you be buying the token after TGE?
So it's interesting, isn't it? Obviously, I can't go through Legion or Kraken, even if I wanted to. Even if there was ways around it, it seems you need to do a whole bunch of KYC and stuff, so that's fine. Look, not financial advice. It's going to launch at $60 million. You would hope it's going to go higher. It may not. But it is crypto after all. What's launches in January? We don't know what's going to happen in the next month. This is crypto. We could be down in 40K Bitcoin by that time. Who knows? We may be at $200,000 of Bitcoin, and it's very much a it's something for token holders to always consider that this is not stocks and shares. We have to always respect what the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum is compared to what the other tokens you have. If Bitcoin goes down 90%, everything's going down 90%, and that's and more. Yeah, and if it goes down 30%, everything else is probably going down 50 to 60%. So it's always interesting. I personally will be waiting to see what happens. I will try not to FOMO in. I probably will FOMO in, regardless of just get a little bit. I'd love to see what the airdrop mechanisms is. My fund score is quite high. I don't know exactly, but when the initial thing came out in the Discord, and it had ranks of where you would be on your fund score. I don't think they have updated it recently, but my initial fund score was higher. It was in the top 100, was my initial fund score. So exactly where it is now is probably still around that because I'm quite active, especially in the like NFL side. I've actually deposited more into it since that as well, which I think has helped. And as I've not cashed anything out, I think that's helped as well on my fund score. I'm all in. So this is kind of how this is like how I roll at the best of times. So, but like completely all jokes aside, can I get the edge up as someone in the UK? I'm hoping. What happens if they say you aren't? What happens if they say you can't get it if you're an American?
Mm.
It's a bit of a worry. They haven't clarified that.
I was going to say I've had quite a bit of clarification off Rick's, because that's been something that a lot of people in our server has been asking,
Okay.
and Rick's has said that so the airdrop is going to be done within the game without KYC, so you will be able to access that through sport.fun.
Okay.
And this is why I didn't realize that I could buy the token, because I assumed it would have to be done through KYC, and Rick's
No.
kind of gave some clarification that no, you'll be able to kind of buy and sell the token through sport.fun with no KYC. It's just the initial ICO phase.
Yes. So once the token's live, it will be traded in various places, highly likely on the Coinbase, hopefully, which again has not been announced, but because they are Coinbase ventures backed, you would hope within the app and the Pace app, it will probably be traded on decentralized exchanges as well. So Aerodrome, as an example, if it's on Pace and a bunch of others. So as a user of anything, you can go and trade it as whatever you want to do, as long as you obviously have whatever you want and taxes and that sort of stuff. But that's it's going to be interesting. Like honestly, I've not done as much deep dive into it. I've been pretty busy recently. I don't actually know the exact fundamentals of what the token is going to do. That's probably on me to probably read a bit more about it. I think they have released the white paper, which I need to do a bunch of reading about that. I'm quite good at this when I look at things and I can understand it, but I just haven't had the time to ever do that. But I will do. As far as I know, the token it's probably going to be January, is it? I think that's probably what they've indicated. The launch is going to be January sometime. Which hope it doesn't happen when I'm away, because I'm away in January for a week. So it'll be just my luck. I'll be up like Alp, coming down an Alp with some hot wine in my hand and a Jägermeister, and
dancing on a bench up the Alps.
Yeah, exactly. Acting my age, really not. So yeah, that's it's just how it. I know already it's going to happen while I'm away. I'm sure it is, because that's just the way life works, isn't it? It's just the week I'm away, it's going to launch, and I'm like, I can't buy anyway, whatever. So yeah, it's look, I'm happy either way. Like again, I see this as a very long term thing. I don't think a lot of people who play football.fun currently see it in the same way I do. I purposely been like, I use the filters to search for players under a certain age, as an example, and I look at these sorts of stuff, such as why I was looking at Anderson as a really good example. He plays for a good team, highly likely to go to a really good team, and you see when he plays for England, his performances are ridiculously good for England, because he's playing with much better players, and he just passes the ball around like you've never seen. He's a Michael. He's like a Michael Carrick sort of type player who again was ridiculously underrated for England and United and Tottenham at the time he played. He's just like he's ridiculously good, and if he goes to, I hope he doesn't end up at United, but like let's just put it United, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, and then Barcelona, Real, Bayern, whoever. He's going to go to someone big, and then he's going to be there for 5 to 10 years, and he's going to be pretty much one of the best midfielders in the world. And I own a large amount. I think he's my highest held player, and again, owning 1% of something always feels very nice. Yeah.
So just to
Awesome.
wrap up, I want tennis in SDF as a sport. Big tennis fan. Are there any sports you're looking forward to?
I think tennis is really good. Golf. I think golf works very well. It'd be good to get some female athletes, so that works well with both tennis and golf. Basketball is obviously large in America as well, and then you get athletics for female as well, which is a very, very undervalued part of the world as well. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how that comes about. So yeah, tennis, golf. Look, I'm English. Darts. Who wouldn't want to own a Luke Littler? Who wouldn't want to own some Luke Littler? Like and again, it makes a lot of sense because it's a game which is played all year round as well. Like an all year round game where there's not a lot of that. Like NFL's brilliant, but it's a short season. Baseball works. Ice hockey probably doesn't work that much. It's not as popular. But yeah, other than that, what else is good? Formula One.
I do think it will be interesting to get an individual sport. I think since kind of listening to Sam big up tennis, I'm back. You know, Sam's gained my vote on tennis. But yeah, I think some individual sports. You touched on earlier Olympics, and I mean, I've never even thought about that, but that, you know, it would be interesting to see kind of down the years what can be done in terms of, you know, could it be athletics, golf, darts? So no. Let's see what happens. I mean, I think we all have to assume basketball's next.
Absolutely.
But where the road leads to after that, who knows? I'm still trying to remember, Sam. It's the Australian 1000 Cup, is it?
The Australian Open, and then you have the Masters 1000, ATP 500, ATP 250. What did you say last time? The over 3000 one. It's over 9,000.
I'll start making notes. No, awesome. Yeah, so I need to brush up on my tennis knowledge, learn a bit of the competitions, realise that Andy Murray's no longer playing, and we'll soon figure it out. But no, Dan, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this episode. It's been brilliant to kind of hear a bit of your insights around, you know, your kind of early days within the space and the crypto Web3. Learning kind of, you know, your strategy around sport.fun, your long-term holds and stuff like that. So, you know, Packers hopefully take it down on this weekend.
I know it's like an island game as well. So it's late night. It's late nights, Saturday nights. So I need to work out whether or not I want to be watching it live at like 1:30 in the morning UK time, or go to bed early, wake up and kind of watch it on repeat with ignoring every single social thing possible and watching it as live, which I have done because I think I did that for the Monday night game against the Commanders.
Well, if you see 1,000 Discord messages from me, just assume that the Packers have won. But
We'll
no,
see.
it's been a pleasure, mate. And again, thank you everybody for listening to another episode. It will be live tomorrow. We'll know what's kind of happened with the fund token. So exciting times ahead. It's been great to talk to you guys, and we'll leave it there. Thank you everybody for listening.